All right, Aaron, you want to start the meeting? Or actually, is Ben the chair?
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah, Ben, you're the chair.
It's my pleasure. I can only see you guys or the agenda, and it's nice to see you. So I don't have it in front of me, but I will. 7:02, no quorum needed, but it looks like we got one since I can only see four of us at a time. Dave is on a deserted island somewhere, and he still managed to join in. So do you have your volleyball with the handprint and the smiley face? There it is. That's my. So hi, good evening, everybody, from wherever you are in or around the woods. We have minutes. We can review and approve our previous minutes and dive into this month's agenda.
I moved to approve.
Do we have a second? Okay, second by Julie. All in favor of approving the, say, February minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right. What's first on the agenda? Who's got the agenda in front of them?
It's the food compost media
Right.
campaign.
Okay.
We kind of rolled that out a little bit with the your cardboard campaign that Sarah Jo had worked on. So I've been putting those on Facebook and also in the last e-blast, remind people about how to recycle their cardboard. I know that we kind of drifted from food compost to cardboard, but given the deadline we were up against with the recycling company, with Tringali, we made food compost recycling, cardboard recycling instead. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Sarah Jo, for that.
Organic material.
What's the date for when they start the compost pickup?
April 6th.
I will target for that, because I think then maybe we start messaging a couple weeks before that.
Yeah.
About compost.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
What's the Tringali thing for the cardboard? Do they give an ultimatum date?
They are still gonna go with April 1st, is they will not be picking up cardboard, loose cardboard. So just this morning, we got the okay for the men's club to sell additional recycling carts at half off. The men's club will pick up $25 and we'll ask residents to pay $25. So that hopefully will go out in tomorrow's e-blast. Just need to get the flyer up on the website so that I can link it to the e-blast, but then we will be encouraging people to purchase a second cart if they need one at a reduced rate. Right.
Cool.
And I think you sent me this in email, right? Because I can do up some graphics for that. Where should they go to get that?
Tara, can you send her, there was a form you had to fill out.
Right, the DPW will deliver it. So you have to send the form in or drop the form off at the drop box at City Hall or DPW with your $25 payment. And then our people will deliver it within a week probably. So it's on the website. We'll put it out in the e-blast. We'll try to promote it. So it's, all you have to do is fill out the form, write a check or cash, and we'll drop it off. Put that out.
You might just say, for purposes of the infographic, call DPW to find out how to order one. And we can email the form or mail it, whatever is most convenient.
Right.
Can I just confirm that the cost is $25?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And that includes carbon offsets for the plastic no, I'm sorry. Too that's like too meta. It's good. We don't want people's recycling to not go to the right Sakra destination. So it's good. So all right.
I've actually on the cardboard recycling, I've seen the media, I've seen social media kind of wherever I'm looking. So whatever we're doing or whatever the city is doing, it's working.
That's good.
Go ahead.
I actually plan to, and this kind of ties into the survey if it's still open this week. I had started a draft email to a bunch of my friends in the neighborhood. And I was just going to be one of those like people who kind of pushes my agenda on them and send an email and just like a really nice short email and say, you know, here's a survey. I appreciate your support. Like, you know, I kind of let them know I'm on the environmental advisory committee meeting. We're trying to, you know, gauge interest and support of the panels. And here's a survey. It just takes, it's one question. If you could just take it, it'd be great. Just to spread the word, because I don't know that everybody like sees those and reads them. And then at the, you know, and also in that email, I was going to put on there, you know, about the cardboard. And I just think that, you know, I think the more that we can tell people, because like word of mouth also, not everyone's checking those other outlets. That's why I also suggested, I don't know if we could just make a couple color printouts. There's not a lot of, I know, foot traffic right now to rec center, library and whatnot, but there is some. And I know a lot of people are still going to the library to pick up stuff. So even if they can put it on their window,
Sure.
like, oh, you know, one or two of the printouts, I think, or City Hall, it still hits some people. It's still helpful. And then I think, I don't know, I think I want to do a couple more. I think we should put a date in there and let people know this is an issue. Like, I don't know, somehow, like, you know, I don't know how, I haven't figured out wording yet, but I don't, you know, if it indeed is an April 1st date, like, you know, take action by, you know, change your habits by April 1st, because, you know, basically that is, you know, it's basically.
Is that, sorry, again, limited screen. The April 1st is a pickup day, or is that just like the?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't think it is, right, Tara? Isn't really April 6th the pickup date?
April 6th is yard waste start time.
Or
So April 1st
I'm
is
sorry,
when
April
Tringali
1st.
told us that's when they were.
Right,
gonna
sorry,
have
just
the-
what someone.
Oh, so that's not a Thursday. That's not even a trash day.
So
that's not even a trash day. So we should tell them the end of March, right?
Well, or the first.
Or the first pickup in April is
Right.
the 6th of April. That's the first pickup. The 7th of April is also the first pickup for yard waste as well. So if you need specific dates, you can say the 6th of April. You can say the first pickup of trash in April.
Right.
You could say April the 1st. Either one of them communicates what needs to be communicated.
Right.
Starting in April, which is simpler than a specific date that corresponds with a specific day. Starting in April, yard waste and your compost wants to keep your like romaine heart core wants to keep your leaves company. Don't make, like Toy Story, don't let it be lonely and fit all of your recycling in your cart because it wants to become new boxes and new cans, or new aluminum cans. I've been too much Disney Plus, and I think in my media diet. But that is good timing to I think communicate to everyone that you normally communicate with, and people are generally motivated, if occasionally haphazard recyclers. So I think they'll get with it. I meant to ask earlier, is there a limit on how many subsidized carts?
No.
Okay. No limit. So as many people as want a half-priced or subsidized cart, they can get them, and the men's club will split the cost with you, or with me, or with whoever. And
can I just say, Ben, I would not say that there's no limit on how many you can buy for $25.
No, I meant how many people can buy one. How many? I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. It sort of sounded that you were suggesting there is no limit on how many a family could purchase.
No, it's not like the rain
we don't wanna
barrels
do
where
that.
there's like only this many rain barrels at this price. It's like,
There are, we put in the proposal 48, $1,200 for 48 recycling
Okay.
carts. I didn't think that people would buy more than 48 in the community.
So then we don't want to communicate anything as unlimited or anything like that. It's a first
Already
come,
data.
first serve.
Yeah,
Sure.
first come, first
yeah,
served.
for that price. Sure. Okay,
Mm.
that's fair. Okay, so and what about the little guys, the little food waste bins? Are they currently available or
Yep,
They
they're
always
always
are.
available. They're $15. They can be purchased, at DPW. We're working remotely, but we work it out. We contactless deliver. I try to encourage people to put all of their food scraps and everything else in their yard waste bags or their cans with the sticker, because those little bins are great, but they're a lot of times I take the calls, they're missed a lot. Sometimes the trash
Yeah.
guys take them, throw them away. So my education is yard waste, food scraps, whatever, are all one. So if you have a big can or yard waste bag, put them in that container. If you don't, and you just want to have the little cart, that's fine. But people don't realize that they all go in one place, and I want to educate people that they do, and that helps everybody. So, that's a good thing to put out there.
Okay.
good stuff? All right. Are we pressing on to our next item, or is there more there?
That's all I have.
All right. I think it every time, and I probably say it most times, and somebody else I think said it originally, but I think the messaging that like you're already composting, to your point, Tara, like that it's not like this like next level hippy dippy thing. It's like you're putting you're putting stuff out at the curb, and you're right, putting your peels, your carrot shavings in with your leaves instead of with your whatever
Garbage.
unrecyclables. Your garbage is like a very small step, one small step.
It's a big education thing that it doesn't have to be separate. It's part of your composting throughout, April through November. So just put it in all in one place. So that just people's eyes are continually being open to that. And that's what we're trying to do.
Cool. All right.
Uh-oh, is Bridget here?
Bridget is driving home and she's having some technical difficulties. I just emailed her to see if she has the numbers for the survey, and she has not gotten back to me.
Okay, all right.
So we can, once we find those out, we can relay them.
Yeah, originally, we were going to meet with the Planning Commission in April, but as it turns out, they don't have any site plans for their March meeting. So they want to move the discussion up to March, their March meeting, which is this Monday, which is good because it moves the program up. And the survey is supposed to close tomorrow at noon, Sarah Jo, for your email.
Okay.
So by Friday afternoon, by tomorrow afternoon, we'll have the results, and then we could share that with the Planning Commission Monday night. And I was hoping that we could get a sneak peek of it from Bridget today. So
Yeah, me too.
Inquiring minds want to know: is there
I took it.
downside to leaving it open until 3 or 4 in the afternoon? Just since I think the things, it's not going to make or break it, but people, tend to get to stuff at the last. If I'm speaking typically for myself, I like the 11th hour, whether that's noon or 2 or 3 or 5.
yeah, we are the ones that close, or Bridget's the one that's going to close the survey. So if she lets a couple of stragglers in, like I said, like you said, I don't think that's going to.
Right. It's not like an FEC filing deadline that's got to be like notarized at the moment of what. Okay.
No.
Okay, so wait, can I just double check? I know there was a lot of discussion about when it's going to close, but can somebody tell me the date again?
Tomorrow at noon.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I posted it on Nextdoor today, and somebody at least responded to my Velvet Underground song lyric reference. So that's, they noticed. It's nice to be noticed.
There was and there was something on the Facebook as well, and there was some discussion.
Okay.
So yeah, and everyone that I know is taking it. So
Well, I just sent out my sort of email blast right before this meeting to Ben's point. So with Invold, it has to be in by noon tomorrow. So hopefully we'll get a few more, and that if Bridget is kind enough to let in the stragglers, that would be nice too. So, yeah.
so
So you said the planning commission meeting, let's make sure whoever can go.
Planning commission meeting is this Monday. It's at 7 o'clock. Tomorrow I'll send everybody the link to the meeting, and you're the only item on the agenda.
So it's Monday the 12th in the evening, and we don't have to hear about anyone's like brick facade.
So it'll be 3
No,
hours
wait.
instead of 4.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. If next Monday is the next planning commission meeting, that is going to be March the 29th. Is that correct?
no, the 22nd.
22nd.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This
March
Monday.
The 22nd.
This coming next
coming
soonest Monday.
Okay.
Or no, the next soonest. Okay, so
Amy, I actually have a question about that. So I think we should spend a few minutes and chat about how we're going to present ourselves yet again to the planning commission. But is this the point that we should encourage interested or like-minded residents to also attend? Or should that wait until the next meeting where there's public comments? Or is that something that you shouldn't answer and we should discuss that amongst ourselves?
you can take the 5th, Amy. I mean, my intuition is like we should not like unleash our neighbors on the planning commission yet, because we can still, it's like a little easier to manage the messaging at this. I mean, I'm anticipating that the survey data is favorable, whether it's like dramatically or substantially. So maybe it's better as like the committees or the commissions kind of convening.
I think once we give them language, that would be the time that we could bring people on board, because then we'll have something concrete for them to rally around.
Okay.
So my question is, it's sort of piggybacking on what Aaron asked, and that when we go to the planning commission, they're going to have the survey results. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so what do we want our next step to be? Because is the planning commission, are we anticipating the planning commission will then accept the language, or do we need to propose, give them the language we had before? Or do we need to baby step them into, now you've had your survey, the language is something you approved, you can see the community overwhelmingly or underwhelmingly approves the use of front-facing panels. Do we tell them, can we take a vote on this? Or do we ask them, what's your next step? When will you vote on this?
I think the next steps would be for them to tell us to put it into ordinance form and then set a public hearing.
And Amy, I'm sorry, forgive me if I didn't understand this, but the first language that we gave them, that was not in ordinance form?
It was, I don't know whether or not they're accepting all the dots on the i's and crossing the t's. It's like we want them to do it the final.
So in our discussion with them on Monday, would we be asking them to tell us what further language changes they need to pass the ordinance?
Yes.
And so so our approach to them is, this is what we think the ordinance form is. What changes would you make?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to be clear.
So this is very useful, and I don't want to like have another like tantrum. I don't think I've alienated anyone entirely yet, but I do want to have, we can have like our little righteous indignation among ourselves, and then like the more procedural. I think where it gets frustrating, right, is the even if no one's deliberately slow walking it, that's the effect of it kind of being batted back and forth just among the committee, among the planning commission. So Amy, maybe what we could do now is like walk through like the steps, and because I know we don't need to get into the real particulars, but what I think I heard Mary saying is like, we don't want to just show up with, the happy survey data. We want to show up with the happy survey data and like our best currentist version of the ordinance language.
Mhm.
And if we can format it a little bit so it's ordinance looking, and then say, here's these two things you asked us to ask our fellow residents, and by a margin of 3-1, whatever, they want this. They want us to, make this at least more of an option. And here is, in terms of like codifying it, here's where we get left off, or here's our current recommendation.
Yeah, I could provide the language for the ordinance again to them along with the survey results.
I think that's an excellent idea. And that way, then their objections, we'll have to listen to them for sure. There may still be some people who aren't convinced that the survey represents what they hope it to represent. But then that will be up to the planning commission people to either be converted or not. We can certainly make our point, but they're the body that makes the decision. And so the questions that we ask them have to be very polite. They have to be respectful to differences of opinion, and because we're all trying to get to one end, right? And how many people have to go through a hoop to get there is reasonable and logical for human beings, right? So let them do it. Just try and keep the thing moving forward instead of getting it shut down. Ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. Well, what do you need? What more would make you feel comfortable? Does this solve your dilemma about passing this ordinance? Those are the types of questions I think we might want to ask them, as opposed to everybody agrees, so why don't you? They're not going to respond well to that, I can guarantee you.
Yeah. No, I don't. Well, let's hear from Aaron, and then I think let's sort of like go through the full sequencing of public meeting this, but Aaron, go ahead.
Yeah, that sounds good. A couple of questions. Should we have I'm blanking on his name, Mark, the solar panel expert who came to the last meeting? I don't want to call on him too much, but I wonder if he could attend, not this meeting, but hopefully the next, with the assumption that it won't die on Monday.
Yeah.
And if I, obviously I'm a little frustrated by how slow this is going and kind of the wishy-washiness.
Yeah.
But as I understand it, what's probably going to happen is, this is the March meeting. They might not vote on a public hearing until April because they might want to look at the language again.
Mhm.
Yes,
Then they'll vote on they'll vote on it. So then the public hearing will be in May.
right.
And then it would go before the commission
In June.
in June. And then in July, if everything goes right, then it might actually be voted upon.
Right.
Right,
So, I mean, we need to just kind of be realistic that we're looking at
Right.
July at the soonest, which, you know, that's,
That's fast for government.
yes, it is.
yeah. It would
Well,
be
I mean, this is, I think we're not asking for a overhaul of
exactly.
the code. So I think this is taken longer than it should have, and I get it. Like, the wheels turn slowly and the sun hasn't burned out yet. It will still produce power, power. You got the panels on your roof. But I think we need to, I don't think our approach on Monday is like we're appealing to your higher angels of your aesthetic anymore. Like, because we've done that, I think, pretty well. I think it's like, here, the survey, and they approved the survey language, right? So it wasn't like a rogue survey. The survey, in the finite amount of time that it was available, yielded this result. And based on our, where we stopped the conversation last time, because you wanted this validation from the residents of the city. Now we at the very least, like, the residents of Huntington Woods are ready to have a public meeting about this, right? Like, we're not saying like push it through and pass it under behind closed doors in some smoke-filled room. We're saying, like, now is time to open up, in the open meeting sense of the term, open this up to residents to hear from the ones who are motivated, even more motivated than they were to click on a 1-question survey to, like, show up via Zoom. And I don't think that we should have to wait until April for them to vote to have a public meeting. And I'm willing to, like, I'm not going to violate the Open Meetings Act in the process, but I'm willing to, like, reach out to a handful of them individually and just sort of jog their memory of what we talked about last time, because I feel like it just gets hazy quickly because it's nighttime and everyone's at their computers and their dog's barking or my dog's barking or whatever.
So Ben, so what you're suggesting is that people from the EAC reach out to Planning Commission folks prior to the meeting next Monday and have a discussion with them about pushing the public hearing into April instead of May?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, we're all, when
So
was
Amy, I'm sorry, wait,
Go ahead.
just a second, because there might be a problem in violating some hearing laws about that. So Amy, I know that when different boards meet and they have a discussion, if there's more than a certain number of people on a board meeting at one time, that's in violation of some of the requirements for those boards. Would something like that be considered to be sort of a backdoor, back room sort of political maneuvering, or is that something that could be acceptable?
You can do that. You don't want planning commissioners talking to each other and making
Right.
decisions before the meeting, but if
Right,
someone
so-
from the EAC reaches out, you're not
But
having a
individually, right?
Right,
Not
we're
as
not,
a group.
we're not, right. I'm just talking about
Okay.
one-on-one, like, hey, Todd Spurl, like, go, yay for DCFC South Oakland. It's all good. It's exciting. And, like, let's not go the Groundhog Day route again. Like, we can move this
Okay, so
forward
then,
with our,
then in the meeting on Monday, the suggestion also is to ask the planning commission to essentially put the public meeting on the agenda for April as opposed to May. They may,
if they're
we can-
willing to do that.
Yeah,
right, we can make that ask, right?
I don't see any reason why not to. I mean,
Okay, no, I'm just
yeah,
asking, that's all.
it's right. Yeah, and my strong sense is like having, followed, accommodated them, a reasonable accommodation of drafting and revising survey language and having the survey open and presenting that data along with the draft ordinance language. Again, they're not voting to turn that ordinance language into law. They're just voting to present that verbiage and this change in the code to in a public forum, and there's no nothing's going to happen between April and May. I think if anything, you'll get more people. They were either concerned or feigning concern that nobody shows up for this stuff, and I think that's just because people generally trust the elected and appointed leaders of Huntington Woods to take care of these things, I think. And the squeaky wheels, the hand, make a lot of squeaky sounds. So yeah, I'd say we should not let we're not blackmailing anybody. We're just
I think we have,
asserting our sense of
and I think
wanting
we're
to see
there.
this proceed. Yeah,
I think we're there.
Dave
David,
has
Cool.
had his hand up.
You know,
oh sorry. Don't let me. I can't see everybody at once. So if you need a shout.
really quick, I just want to, assuming that we get good results from the survey, and by good I mean favorable to our position, we should go into that meeting with the expectation like we've given them the survey results. And at that point, really the only hang up that I could see is if they wanted to critique the language in the ordinance. And that's got to be on them at this point, I feel. Like,
right,
hey, if you guys still have a problem with this, suggest the edits, get the edits back to us so we can get back to you guys again at the next meeting. Like, firmly put the ball in their court and be like, we've kind of done everything that you've asked. I don't see, like, if we give them the survey, we already have like a suggestion for the ordinance, like, then they kind of have to, like, what else do they have left but to take issue with the ordinance? And if they do that, then, have them make their suggestions, and then we'll look at their suggestions and we can like give our feedback on their suggestions. Like, that's really could be the only sticking point, I feel like. And why else wouldn't we keep moving the process forward?
I think
the sooner the better.
Julie has her hand up, and I also have something I want to say.
So forgive me, but I'm a little bit confused about the procedure in terms of the authority that the Planning Commission has. And are we simply, because I think it's the City Council that has the authority to make the change on an ordinance, and are we simply asking for the Planning Commission's sort of approval of the language, and then it would then go before the City Commission?
Yeah,
After a public meeting where people can respond to the precise recommended verbiage that then the City Commission will consider, Amy?
Yeah, the City Commission takes up the recommendations of the Planning Commission. So
we can't get this in front of the City Council unless we get the approval of the Planning Commission? Is that the procedural chain, or is there a way to go around them?
You technically probably could go around them, but that wouldn't work.
No, then
Because-
we would have to fight each other.
Yeah, if the Planning Commission isn't on
Hand-to-hand
board,
combat?
There's been enough of that this year.
I think we've been wearing them down
Okay.
and making enough noise without being, self-righteous, just,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
just
We're not trying
appropriately
to take their
righteous.
power away.
Well,
We're
we
just trying to-
are, pun intended, the
In a way.
power.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah, which they don't, there's enough. I think they don't, my interpretation from the conversation that they've had is like, they don't want to be in charge of solar panels per se. They just don't want
to get blamed.
They just
They
don't,
don't
want
wanna-
to,
Right.
but they don't want to get blamed, and they don't want it to go sideways. But it's not, it's a sort of a MacGuffin at this point.
Yeah. Well, to that point, then the survey, assuming it's favorable, gives them cover for that as well.
This is so suspenseful with the surveys.
Could I I don't think, sorry, Mary, I don't want to belabor this point because I think we've already talked about a lot of this stuff, but I think what was coming through from the last meeting was there was some hesitation, but they were talking about aesthetics, especially like a red roof with a black, right? Different colors. And, that's the thing is, do we want to hold it up for a month to try to fight that? I don't know. There were some questions that people had that's going to lead to some wordsmithing about safety. And then, so some of us attended that webinar on Monday with someone from Ann Arbor talking about how they promoted solar. And one of the questions was, how did they deal with historic districts? And they said that they didn't have any problems with historic districts. They were very open, but they made two changes. And these are some that I think we should think about. One is that they had to be black panels, no silver edging. And then the second thing is that the solar panels, sorry, I want to get the right language, should cover as much of the roof as possible and not be patchy.
Mhm.
And
that's what the guy said, Aaron, at the meeting.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And he said that was the biggest aesthetic concern over
Mhm.
color, was like how they're positioned and laid out.
So, I think that might be something for us to bring up at the meeting to add on to the ordinance language, and then hopefully that will soothe everyone.
Mhm.
And I forgot how he said it, but it was very succinct. It was very eloquent.
Yeah.
And I think it
Is it
addressed
in
all
the,
of
can
the
we
aesthetics.
can we do a municipal league search of
Yeah.
the Ann Arbor code language? Is that probably?
Well,
I
our
don't
guy
know.
that we had at the
Yeah,
meeting with the planning commission,
Oh, our
he
Mark.
addressed
Video,
that very
but-
thing.
Yeah,
and
it's
he
just
said it
about
perfectly.
patchiness.
Because we
Right.
were all lost in the sauce with like the colors, and he's
Yeah.
like, it's not about the colors, it's about how they're laid out.
The
And
coverage. Yeah.
and that is the most important aesthetic consideration. He's like, it will look horrible if they're not laid out properly. This is how you do it. And he just gave like 3 or 4 like 1-sentence bullet points that address that. And I can't remember exactly, he would say it better than I, but if we were looking for any kind of language to address aesthetics, I feel like that is probably the best thing that we could put up there, because also for us, it takes off that like colored roof thing, which I think because we're not in the industry and none of us do that for a job, we think that that's a bigger deal than this other consideration that we hadn't really even addressed or talked about. Nobody brought that up. And he was like, that's actually the number one thing aesthetically that you want to look at. So
if anyone has 10 minutes and they want to go back and look at the video of the planning commission from last month, they can see exactly how he worded it. But I think what David said was exactly it. Sorry, Mary, I've talked too long.
No, I just want to be realistic. If the survey doesn't come back the way we hope, if it's not definitively in favor of changing the language, what is our game plan?
can I vote multiple times?
Yeah, I was wondering.
just wondering
You're
that.
not in Chicago, David. So I'm just wondering, I mean, we should have something sort of prepared if it's not like a slam dunk. And or if the vote is too low. So if we have 2,800 homes thereabouts and we don't have 2,800 votes, we'll be very lucky if we are in the hundreds. We have to be able to preface that in a way that the Planning Commission will understand that even though it's a couple hundred votes, it's huge for a survey in Huntington Woods because most people never vote on them at all. We have to be able to prepare an understanding for them, because we might have a slam dunk of 500 votes, right, to 2, but 500 isn't 2,800 homes. And so there is that concern that they may have an objection over the number of people who answered the survey. And we need to have a comeback on that. We need to be able to say, well, the people who really cared. They voted. The people who really cared about it passionately voted. That would mean those who like solar panels in the front and those who don't. And overwhelmingly, people are in favor of solar panels in the front of the house. We have to have a language for them.
Yeah.
Can
Does
Kate
anyone
get us a p-value?
try to maybe?
I'm sorry, David.
Can Kate get us a p-value on the survey?
I don't know what that is.
Some
Do you know what it is,
statistical.
Kate?
I used to.
I do know what a p-value is. Yes.
There you go. So
I'd have to go to my biostatisticians to actually get it. For
she
you.
just volunteered, guys.
There
And
you
it
go.
depends how many people responded to the
determine that
survey.
the,
If there's not
survey
enough,
was
then there's not going to
statistically
be enough
significant.
statistical power.
It's it's very definitely statistically significant. But
We'll just
I mean that
do the
so
calculator.
maybe Bridget is reachable by phone, because it would
I
certainly
sent her an
inform.
email, guys, saying like, hey, if you can at least forward the results.
Okay.
But
And right, if the numbers are if the response is modest, it doesn't negate it might, make it hard to figure out the standard deviations or something, but it doesn't mean that this isn't still a real
Exactly.
issue.
And that's one of the things that we should be prepared to answer, because I know when the rec center was voted on, the entire city of voters, like less than a third of the city voted for the rec center or against the rec center for that matter. It was a very, very small vote that determined whether or not we were going to build that or not. Well, there were a lot of people afterwards who said, well, really, people didn't vote for it because they wanted it. They just didn't vote. And we don't really want it, and the city doesn't really need it. And there was an after role about building that rec center with the people who were opposed to it. Most people didn't care. They were like, yeah, we'll do it. And they just didn't vote about it. And so I think we should absolutely have a comeback. And if whatever this t-value is, let's get it. So,
Maybe
I mean,
could we just chat once we get the results and Friday?
We can check in, or we can email if there's. I guess again, I don't think need to persuade each other anymore, but
no,
we're not even talking. We're ultimately talking about like individual homeowners taking on a $20,000 or $30,000 enhancement. It's at that point, it's like,
well, Amy, I'm sorry, Ben, you're buffering out. You're buffering out.
Oh yeah, my hand, my whatever. All right, keep going.
I was just going to say, Amy, do you think that Bridget would have enough experience to know what the average survey the city puts out? What's the average respondents? Would we have a statistic like that we could use? Average number of people doing any survey that's put out?
There's
no, the only one I'm familiar with is we did a communication survey maybe about 6 months ago. But we don't send out a lot of surveys, especially.
No, I know.
Did she use Google or did she use SurveyMonkey? I think
it's Google Docs.
Google form.
And Amy, you haven't heard.
So has it been put on all the Facebook pages? Like I just put it just now on the HW parents page, but like can we put it on like the Huntington Woods City News and Discussion Facebook page? Like, I think people look at those maybe more than the City of Huntington Woods e-newsletter, where this survey actually I think was the last piece. It was at the bottom, so even more so.
It's on those Facebook pages.
It is on all of them. Well,
Yeah.
maybe we can like repost it again tonight just for a little bit more viewership.
Repost.
And hit up
Nope.
next door again.
Do it.
Amy, have
Okay.
you heard any?
There's no harm in people seeing it multiple times, right? Like
Right.
we're not saying vote multiple times, but
Sorry, Amy, have you heard anything negative or anything positive from any residents? They haven't. Okay. You know, I wonder if we should just kind of check in this weekend once we get the results and then freak out or not.
or
I
we
think
could,
that sounds
or
like
we
a good
could,
plan.
we could, if we really, I'm, you know, if we felt so moved, we could have a brief phone or video something Monday late afternoon or before the planning commission, just to sort of get on the same page and make sure we're, you know, paddling and rowing in the same direction. But I think we're in pretty good shape, I think.
I think we are in good shape. Yeah.
All right, if it's okay with the committee, I'm gonna check out here.
Of course.
I'm
Had a
the
rough week.
host now, so
All right.
Yeah,
Thank
hold on
you,
here. I have to
Amy.
make you the host so that you can
cool.
end the meeting.
All right.
All right, everyone. Thank you, and I'll let you know as soon as I get the results.
All
Thank
right.
you, Amy.
Thanks, Amy.
Or actually, I'm sure Bridget will let all of us know.
Great.
All right.
Okay,
All
perfect.
right.
Thanks, Amy.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Can,
We were
can
gonna
we
talk.
keep that thing open through the weekend, or is that not cool?
The what?
I think that the
Is
survey, I
something-
think that the best, probably the most realistic extension would be to like the late afternoon on Fridays.
Okay.
Enough.
I didn't know like how that timing was like decided, or if there was like.
It's totally arbitrary.
It is.
I know
okay.
that a lot of.
Hmm?
I know that a lot of people have participated.
Okay, well that's good.
Where are you, Bridget? Send us a sign. Let us know you're out there. So what else are we talking about?
The
Son.
changing of the name of the committee.
Right. What do we like? What do we got?
Well, we all received that letter, which I guess was something that we were, right? Did you all get that letter right after our meeting? So
I got one.
I now
Yeah, I
forget
did.
what we changed it to, what the was. But it was the the Environmental Sustainability Commission. Is that right?
I can't remember what it was.
That's sad.
It was so long ago.
Yeah, it was something with
That's what it
sustainability.
was.
I mean, is the more important thing changing from committee to commission to give it a little more gravitas, or I mean, and the scope, I suppose, but there's something in what's the C at the end stand for, right?
Right. Yeah. And also sustainability instead of environmental.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a good, you know, kind of rebrand. We're just trying to like bring it into the present nomenclature and seems
So,
to.
what did
So
we
where?
just-
Yeah. What is there to deliberate on?
We have to, I motion that we accept the new name. However, I don't know what the third word is. I have the proposed name is Environmental Sustainability Commission Board. What are we going with?
I'm going back and looking at the notes to see.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
I mean, if it's between committee and commission, I like commission better because I think, just by way of example, like when the planning commission is deliberating and telling people what they can do or not do, and we're like, oh, won't you please recycle, please recycle.
Well,
Break down.
Ben, here's one thing that when I was on the EAC years ago, the EAC was not a lawmaking or ordinance making body. And so, and we are, to my knowledge, still not a ordinance making body. And so the language of commission may impart the image of being an ordinance making body, or it may in fact mean to our commission that they are allowed to make ordinances and pass them to the city commission. The EAC has never done that. We have never, at least to my knowledge, Claire would know better, but we have never sent an ordinance to the city commission for them to vote on. And so what I'm asking, like the library board can do that, and the Parks and Recreation Board can do that. So can the Planning Commission. I don't believe the Zoning Board of Appeals can do it. And so there is some question about the specific, specifically the last word. And I don't think we can be as arbitrary, but what I will say.
Yeah, I'm not saying just about style. It probably more than anything else needs to make sense in the context of the other appointed positions, that roll up to the city commission. So
correct.
What are their actual names? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Can I just come back to this though? Because as we change our name, do we want to ask the commission to allow us to be able to send them ordinances for their approval? Is that where we're going with this name change? And do we want to go there with this name change? I think that personally, I think that we probably would. Being able to make suggestions to the city commission that sometime in the future might require us to pass a millage, let's say. This organization could grow into that. But what do we need to do with the city commission in order to allow us to have that extras, I don't want to say power, but an extension to our commitment to the commission? I don't know. But I'm bringing it out there because a name change, in my mind, if we're going to do it, let's do it whole hog. Let's get more to give back to the city commission.
I agree. Does anyone else want to weigh in terms of the like form and function, substance and style? Aaron, what do you got?
I think those are two. I mean, I agree. I think those are two separate things, though. And getting the name change is going to be, I hope, very straightforward.
Hold on, Shinny, let me put my thing on mute.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be very straightforward. The anything else, especially something where we actually have any type of legislative power, is going to be met with a lot of pushback, questions. What I would suggest is that we just go for this name change. It's a very simple process. It still needs to go before the city commission. And then the future, rather than asking for changes of the code, that we start going before the commission with kind of, for them to adopt larger policies. Because policies don't have to go through the planning commission or other. So.
Well, I think the solar panel piece is instructive, but it's particular to the the existing practice that it was, because it's something that's like part of the architecture or the facade of someone's house, that it was already sort of in the planning commission's portfolio. I think that, like Amy said, there's not really anything that is stopping us from presenting, advocating directly or proposing policy and to the planning commission. So maybe to your point, Aaron, just like getting a more official sounding name without having to, you know, fight for a reinterpretation or an expansion of our sort of legislation adjacent role, because we're not going to legislate anything anyway, right? It would only be like, how do we get it in front of the actual elected officials in the city? And with the,
well, Ben, that's not true, because if we are able to work as a group that can make proposals to the city commission does not have to see anything that we give to them or have a public airing on it. But if I'm a rec board and I'm making a motion to be approved or disapproved by the city commission, they have to have a public hearing about it. We aren't an entity like that particular board, nor are we an entity like the library board or the planning commission. So anything that is sent in the minutes to the city commission that has to do with the city commission approving or disapproving changes of whatever, those boards have to be heard in public by the city commission. That's not true with us. We do not have that purview yet. We never had it. And so we are not like the planning commission where
right. It's just, it would be more responsibility in terms of Open Meetings Act compliance and having a quorum and having, you know, time officially for public comment, which
right.
Those all seem like things that we would be, you know, I wouldn't have any hesitation to having any of that. And I would think that like that extra step of having to have a public meeting about, you know, the next solar panel type thing that comes up, and we can call the public meeting instead of having to ask the planning commission or a different, you know, entity to do it is a good thing if we can ask for it and not have to fight overly hard for it.
Okay, so all I was providing is information. I'm not making an opinion one way or the other. But what I would like to make a motion that we change the EAC's current name to reflect what we do, and to do that we would change our name to the Environmental Sustainability Committee.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm making a motion for that.
Yep. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
Okay. So now we can discuss it. Specific to the motion.
Bridget's here.
Bridget.
All right, Bridget.
Stop the presses. Bridget, what do you got for us?
We've been waiting.
I was having so many issues.
Oh my
but
gosh.
I'm on now, but I'm in my car still.
I'm in my car too. It's and I can't reach the pedal because I'm in the wrong seat to turn on the heat. So I'm being very environmental and also cold and dark. But it's good. It's all good. So Bridget, what do the data say?
For so far on the are you talking about so far on the thing? I haven't looked in the last couple of days, but the first time I looked, it was overwhelmingly 4. It was more than 75%, but I will double check tonight if you'd like, and I'll send back an update to you guys.
Bridget,
do you remember about how many people had? Do you remember like what the response, the volume was a couple days ago?
It was about 100 people when I looked last.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And I suspect it's at least double that and maybe more, just because people are finally getting to it. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry for the beeping. So, okay, then back to we have a motion on the table to change the name, 2 out of 3 words. We're playing word change.
Right.
So go ahead.
I know, I was just going to repeat it because I wrote it down. Environmental Sustainability Committee. And Julie seconded, so we're having a discussion.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good to me. Discuss.
Are we done with our discussion?
Yeah, we can put it to a vote unless anyone wants to weigh in on other. Aaron is voting, or Aaron is weighing in.
I'm voting pro.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed to the what will the letters be? What was it again? The
It would be ESC.
ESC.
So
Yeah.
just out of curiosity, what is the process to make us like an actual commission, like the planning commission?
You know, Kate, I haven't been through that process, but I
Question.
know that the commission has to decide to do it. So we would have to request that they give us that kind of an authority. Years
Petition the
ago,
commission.
I think that we spoke to Claire about it, and she felt that that wasn't necessary at that time. But I think that the environmental drums are much louder than they were back then, and the need to adopt a group that is going to be responsible for holding a city accountable for its sustainability is probably the time is now to do that. And
Yeah, I would agree. I think we
I
can think of
agree.
it as like short term and long term. So if
Yeah.
it's easy to just switch the name now, then let's go for it. But maybe like a long term goal and strategy should be
Right.
to kind of get that political power and influence, especially what we know about environmental sustainability. None of
Right.
it is really going to be sustainable without legislation in our favor.
Kate, I totally agree
regulation.
with you on that. And honestly, this is the first step to doing that long haul, I think. So
It would be great. I mean, I agree, but it'd be great to talk to one or two people on the city commission informally to get before, like, to talk to them about the next steps. You know, I know one or two.
well,
who
we
might
could,
not like it.
why don't we just talk to Bob Paul? He's our commission liaison, and
He's our guy.
All
so
right.
I don't think that Bob would be opposed to something like this. And I don't think that it would.
knows how to do it. It would be him.
Well, I would
Yeah, I
hope
think
so.
we don't even have to have a position one way or another. This is strictly a fact-finding phase. This is
Right.
just
Right.
what is the process?
Right.
I
So
think
we
Jeff
want
Jenks would also be very much in favor of this. And I do think it's a really good idea. I hadn't really even thought about it before this discussion tonight, but I think this experience with the Planning Commission really demonstrates why we really need to be able to have some authority to speak to environmental issues as separate from other city issues. And I do think, this is a long range planning thing, but that the authority could be crafted in such a way that it's, that it's pretty clearly defined as to what that purview would be, so that it would get passed by the city commission if done the right way. But I think it's a great idea. That's pretty exciting.
So we have a consensus for changing the A to an S, and to use that as a way to kind of ease others or elected officials into a conversation about vesting the environmental sustainability committee, or maybe at some point commission, with a level of authority and responsibility, right, in terms of transparency and public accountability, that reflects Huntington Woods's commitment to leading among municipalities on sustainability issues, and just how pressing and urgent these issues are.
And I think if we're successful with the solar panels, and we can use the survey that we've used for that as sort of a springboard and a model to get public feedback on whether this is something that they would support.
I mean, if people, for every 10 people who care about whether their neighbor's going to have a solar panel on their roof, maybe one or two of them care about like the commission structure. But hey, that's okay. The ones who care, we will persuade, and we will we'll keep fighting the good fight. Does anybody have anything else?
No.
Like kind of like in order to kind of build that up within the community, I'm thinking about like outreach and communication strategies. Like, for example, like, do we even have just like an email address? Can we get something that's like environmental sustainability committee at huntingtonwoods.org? Like, what if people want to reach us? Can there be something on the website that represents us and we can talk about these initiatives, kind of just to build up that marketing that can kind of then give us some credence towards, becoming a little bit more formal, right, and, having some like regulatory power?
Or can we ask that, I know our names are listed on the city website. Do we have our emails listed or something, or a couple point people? So it's like a
Facebook. Or eco@hwmi.org or .gov. That right. Just giving it sort of the credence. And I mean, and some of that we could sort of be at whatever point, just with digital communications, right? Like stuff doesn't need to be limited to the citywide, quarterly, the Herald, or we could have a newsletter or some kind of specific way to reach out to people who are motivated to be effective.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We could even create like a Facebook group or something, Huntington Woods Environmental Sustainability Advocates or something, and even just to get an email address, even if we can't get it through the city, even like a Gmail address, like you'd be surprised. We probably would be able to field a couple inquiries through that, and we could, start to learn a little bit more about what the community wants. It's just something to think about to kind of just build up, our reputation around something more formal.
Good thoughts. Other thoughts? Should we call it?
Don't we have something more on the agenda though?
I don't know.
I think it's just public participation.
Don't we have a communication thing on the agenda? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
I thought it was just
I don't know what the communication update meant.
Me neither.
Okay, so let's table it. We're going to table that.
I mean, so my final word, not that I get the final word, is the more of us who can be Zoom present Monday evening, even if we don't all have to speak, and to the extent that multiple of us speak, we should be be sure not to be redundant or redundantly redundant. But I'd say the more the merrier Monday, even if you're on the thing while you're also doing folding laundry or whatever else is going on your Monday night.
Yeah, cool.
All right, team. Till then.
So I'm recording. I'm going to stop it, and then I have a question for everyone.
Okay.
That's not related to the EAC. Hold on.
Okay.
All right. So I'm